What's up, guys? Welcome back to the JP and Trav show on the JP and Trav YouTube channel and also live from Travis's X. As always, it's your host with the most, JP. To my right, I have my esteemed co-host, brother, and friend, Travis J. Davison. Travis, how you doing, bro?
Man, I'm great. I won't lie. I'm tired, man. It was a long week. Obviously, started the week off Tuesday with you, and then popped over to Doylestown, PA, where hung out for the week with some friends. Thursday, Friday, going to Philly, staying Philly Friday. OU fans tore down Philly as far as the McGillans, the oldest bar in Philadelphia. It was opened in 1860. So right before the Civil War started, they opened this bar, and it's been fully operational the whole time, continuously running. Made it through Prohibition, made it through the Civil War, made it through pandemic, multiple world wars, everything like this. But finally started headed back on Sunday and made it to Hocking Hills. Me and the lady took a little nice little vacation down there through the Hocking Hills in Ohio, and then down to St. Louis, and then finally home yesterday. Slept like a rock and woke up for an 8 a.m. radio spot I think they're in Alabama or Georgia or Mississippi, somewhere around there. Press Box Live, Press Box Radio with Mike Grace. Anyways, so I'm tired, but I'm fired up because it's a big game week, and we've got my buddy Logan Fowler here joining us tonight. Logan and Logan is with 1819 News. He covers Auburn for them. He's a senior writer for The War Report. The War Report. The War Report. Logan and I met in the press box a year ago. I will never forget it because he was writing his story about how Peyton Thorne didn't make the big mistake and Auburn was going to win because of it. And right as he's typing it out, Peyton Thorne made the mistake. He threw it directly to Kip Lewis, and Kip Lewis ran the other way with the football. So welcome, Logan. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I was thinking about that scenario earlier today on the way home. I remember looking over at Travis. I was like, man, it's a couple minutes left in this game. Auburn might do this. And it's an 11-point lead. And I think even Travis was like, yeah, it's not looking too good. Boom, there it is. I told him, I said, man, this is the most Auburn thing I've seen. And I think I say that every week. So that was pretty much that game in a nutshell. Had to erase pretty much everything I'd already written up to that point. But yeah, man, appreciate you guys having me on. I'm ready to get to talk a little Auburn and Oklahoma action.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's there's been some fireworks on X already. I'm sure as both of you have probably seen. I was trying to stay out of it. Logan, you don't know this about me, but I'm athletic director here in Indianapolis, and I'm also coaching, our varsity volleyball team this year. So these last few weeks, especially, I've had like no time. I've had games every day. We hosting a huge cross country meet this Saturday. I got a bunch of logistical stuff happening. So I've been like, head in the clouds. I pop on X today, and somehow I had an Auburn fan in my mention that was like, man, Jackson Arnold gonna carve y'all up for 350 yards. And I was like, is that what we think? Is that what we think is about to happen?
Logan, you need to know something about JP. This man, like, have you ever been out to the bar with one of your buddies and like one beer in, he's just like, man, that guy's looking at me over there. I'm going to go swing it. Like, like that guy that just is looking for a fight, like leaves the house looking for a fight. That's JP on Twitter. He'll say he doesn't want to get involved in war, but this man be making videos about people, like in replies to stuff. Check his Twitter feed sometime, and it is he might say he wants to play nice, but he's 10 toes down, as Baker Mayfield would say. Yeah. What's up with that, Logan? Is Auburn Twitter always like this? They're out of nowhere.
Well, yes. In a nutshell, yes. Auburn Twitter is wild. This week it seems to be ramped up a little bit, but it could be just because it's the SEC opener. Maybe they've got a fan base to kind of interact with them. That'll shoot it back, go back with them, and I don't know. It's been fun to see. I can't keep up with all of it though, man.
so that South Alabama Twitter wasn't as
South
engaging.
Alabama and Ball State Twitter didn't live up to the hype. Baylor, they had some action with Baylor. They had about 4 or 5 months to kind of go back and forth with Baylor, but it's not been anything like this. Not even
I
close.
gotcha. How are you feeling after 3 games in? 3-0. What do you like about the team? What would you like to see improve about the team, or maybe what surprised you most about the team so far?
Yeah, look, I think what you've seen out of Auburn on the field so far this season, you've got to be impressed. It's the first time, or it's the 52nd time in program history that they've started 3-0. It's the second time under Freeze that they've started 3-0. Now, obviously, you played the likes of Ball State and South Alabama to get 2 of those wins, but started off the season strong, go into Big 12 territory, and still a win from Baylor. And that was a game 2 or 3 years ago, even last year, man. I mean, that's a game where Auburn, had they not have made 1 or 2 plays that they made, you're walking out of there, with a 0-1 record to start the season. So I think that there's been a lot of things I've been impressed with with Auburn so far. It's kind of funny to think about how the offense is probably a step ahead of where the defense is right now. And that's one of the biggest things. You asked what surprised me. It's 100% the secondary. They got absolutely torched by Sawyer Robertson, 419 yards. Looked horrible. And again, last week they only gave up 170 yards to South Alabama, but the middle of the field, man, has just been wide open. Auburn they've missed 35 tackles this season. 32 of them came against South Alabama and Baylor. So tackling and the play on the back end of that defense has been really, really bad, to say the least. That's just the only way you can put it. And that's why I say that's the biggest surprise, is because I think if you'd have asked anybody who was paying attention to this Auburn team during the offseason, it was, hey, what's the strongest position group on this Auburn football team? And you're probably saying the secondary, right? They've got Kay and Lee outside, Jay Crawford, who was outstanding as a freshman last year, who kind of thrust into a starting role last year. Kay and Lee, another great talent out there. Caleb Harris was the team leading tackler, returning leading tackler from last season. He was great as a freshman. And they've just got talent and depth back there, but it just hadn't showed on the field this season. That's definitely been the biggest surprise.
Oh, you muted. Rookie move.
I know, man. That's how you know it's a live show. You got to do it at least once to prove you're in the live show. But yeah, when I think of like things, and maybe it's just recruiting, it's what I can think of. I think of your wide receiver group, and you got some talented wide receivers. Obviously, I think Singleton is questionable on the report. I'm sure he'll play. I think most of the questionable on both sides are going to play. But obviously, you got Cam. Like, you've got dudes in that room. What's shocking to me is you've got dudes in that room and the explosive plays haven't been there. Like, you guys are running the ball fine. Jackson can certainly run the ball. We know that. You guys have really good edge players, maybe a first rounder on the edge and Falk. But when I look at most talented wide receiver cores in the SEC, I mean, Auburn's up there with any of them. So has that been a play calling thing? Like they're trying to hold something back for SEC play and hold off on the deep shots? Has Jackson just been missing them, or have you guys been focused more on the run game? Has it been a protection issue? What's going on with that?
Listen, I think any Auburn fan who has watched the last 3 games, they might bicker about what the passing games look like, but for me, I've been the number one most impressive thing, I think, to me, now that I think about it, is the fact that Hugh Freeze as a play caller, or the offensive staff, whoever's calling plays, because apparently they have like 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, whatever. Whoever's calling plays has stuck to what's working, right? So if you look at Auburn games in the past, last year Auburn had the best running back in the SEC, Jarquez Hunter. Okay, he was a dog, right? They didn't give him the ball. They're sitting there trying to throw it and force it with Peyton Thorne. You see that against Oklahoma. Throws a pick 6 to Kip Lewis, right? Through the first 3 games, against Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, Hugh Freeze and this offensive staff, they have not forced anything. They've taken what the defense has given them against Ball State. Baylor and Ball State played a lot different defensive looks than South Alabama did. Baylor played 2 high safety all night, dared Auburn to run the ball, and Auburn ran for 307 yards, right? Ball State played, for some reason, their cornerbacks 15 yards off the ball and dink and dunk to Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton. Let's get our playmakers the ball out in space. South Alabama, they kind of mixed it up a little bit, but look, Hugh Freeze has taken what the defense has given him. Auburn can run the football. This is Auburn's probably best offensive line in probably a decade, at least since 2017, right? They've been doing really well, run blocking and paving the way for Jackson Arnold and Jeremiah Cobb. There hasn't been a ton of deep shots taken this year, and on a few they just haven't connected quite yet. But that is something that I would have liked to have seen Auburn kind of work on before getting into SEC play, because you kind of hate, as an Auburn fan, right? You would hate to see, let's say that Oklahoma shuts down this running game that's been so potent this year. Well, now Jackson Arnold and this Auburn offense, and I don't doubt that they can do it, but they don't have the experience with the downfield shots, over the middle shots this year. But to answer your question, I think it's just been more of a result of Hugh Freeze and the offensive staff taking what's been given to them.
I think that's a very reasonable assessment. I mean, of your guys' first 3 games, and obviously, I know I joked at the beginning of the show, but I obviously think that Auburn is a very good team. I think that you guys have proven to be able to compete against, obviously Baylor. I know people didn't know how they were going to be, and maybe some people thought, Auburn beat them. We didn't know how they were going to be. They're frauds, but obviously they have a good quarterback. And I'm interested in your opinion, Logan, and I'll let kind of try to ask another question if you want. How do you feel about your guys' front seven? Because I know there's been a lot of talk about that group being improved and kind of ferocious in the SEC.
No, look, Auburn's front seven this year has actually been probably the biggest surprise for me. Again, when you looked at the defense in the preseason, you're thinking, okay, you're good on the back end of this defense, but who's going to step up in the middle? Obviously, you've got a guy like Keldrick Falk on the outside, but who in that linebacker room is going to step up? Who in that defensive tackle room is going to step up? And they've been just they've dominated. They held Ball State, I get it, but they held Ball State to -3 rushing yards, and that's impressive against whoever, right? It was Auburn's best defensive performance in 40 years. Since 1985. They held Ole Miss to 9 yards in 1985. They held Ball State to 68, or 67. And it's because of the front seven. Look, Xavier Atkins is a guy you can expect to what I don't want to say expect, but he's lived in the backfield the last 3 weeks, right? Keldrick Falk's obviously disruptive off the edge. That front seven's been good. Got the second best rushing defense in the SEC, and I believe it's the 10th best in the nation, right? Auburn's also on the flip side of the ball. They're also in the top 16 in the nation in rushing offense, and they're just one of 4 FBS teams in the country who are ranking in the top 20 in both of those statistical categories. So, but yeah, no, front seven, man, it's been good. Now have they faced the team with the dogs up front and the talent up front like Oklahoma has? No, they haven't seen a quarterback who will tuck it and run it like John Mateer will on Saturday. Now, obviously, the South Alabama quarterback was athletic, and Sawyer Robertson can run as well, but he didn't have to. One comment I see down here: how is Auburn going to match up with the tight end? I don't want to say his name wrong.
Kanik. Yep, our former linebacker.
Yeah.
And now he leads the nation in tight end receiving yards. Oddly enough, but should have had him at tight end, I guess. But yeah, we saw Trigg for Baylor have a big day, matched up on linebackers or nickel corners or anything like that. Are you just hoping there's a game plan to shore up the secondary, especially in those linebackers quickly?
Yeah, look, that's, like I said, it's been the biggest weakness for Auburn so far, over the middle. Linebackers in coverage and safeties covering over the middle. The outside, like I said, the two cornerbacks for Auburn haven't been that bad. There hasn't really been a lot of deep shots with K and Lee and Jay Crawford and guys like that getting beat on the outside. It's been over the middle. And like you said, Trigg was a nightmare matchup for Auburn against Baylor. They did not have an answer for him. Couldn't tackle him, couldn't cover him. Linebackers too little, safeties too little, linebackers too slow. Just they had no match. I had no answer for him, and I think that Canick will Canick. Sorry, will.
You're good. You're good. Hey, I'm glad you're trying.
Right. I think he'll kind of pose the same kind of problem for this Auburn defense, and that's certainly something to watch for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people were doubting Auburn extremely early because we saw the nightmares, at least from the media side, out of camp, right? It was, Hugh's golfing too much, or, you guys have 7 play callers. You're going to have one guy calling first down, another guy calling second down, third down. We saw the videos of Hugh Freeze, yelling at Jackson, throwing his visor on the ground, get the ball out of your hand, all this kind of stuff. When you see all that stuff come out, I mean, obviously you're part of the media, you see a bit deeper than, just some viral shots on Twitter. But when that comes out, and then when in SEC Media Days, it gets out that I guess Hugh had been asking Durkin to take it easy on Jackson to make sure they don't ruin his confidence and things like that. Like, what were your thoughts preseason? What were your expectations of this team when you just see all of this just nonsense getting out of camp?
Yeah, I mean, look, the golf talk was so blown out of proportion. Was he playing golf? Sure, yeah, but I mean, like he even said it himself. Look, I've never missed a recruiting event. I never miss practice. I do my job. I'm here. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going to apologize to you for going out and enjoying a round of golf when I don't have to work.
Hey, I'm all for coaches golfing.
Yeah,
I've gotten to know Trey Lamb pretty well, head coach here at Tulsa, and he was asked about it because he was actually competing in like the Oklahoma AM. Like he was legitimately like qualifying for tournaments and whatnot while he was like in the summer. And he was like, look, he said, I play golf with brain surgeons, with heart surgeons. He goes, I coach football. He said, if they can be out here, like, is it just because I'm a public figure? Like, if they can be out here, I think I can carve out some time for a round of golf too. Like, their job is far more important than mine will ever be.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was the off season, and people had to figure something out to talk about, right? And Hugh Freeze is an easy guy to kind of take a shot at. Auburn's an easy school to take a shot at. 4 straight losing seasons. If your head coach is going out and golfing instead of coming up with a game plan right there for Baylor, 4 months before the game, people are going to freak out, right? But no, I think that kind of stuff was blown out of proportion. The practice clip, man, I loved it. I loved it. I loved the intensity from Hugh Freeze. I think that's kind of something that had been lacking a little bit during his first 2 years was that kind of fire, that intensity. And I love it. And I love the way that Jackson, from everything that I've seen so far, man, Hugh Freeze said it this week. He's handled himself like a pro, and I've seen it the same way. This guy's really bought into what Hugh Freeze is doing. He's bought into the scheme that Hugh Freeze is running, and he's handled coaching really well. I think that, again, I love the intensity. I love what I've seen from both Jackson and Hugh Freeze and the mesh that they've had together. And then kind of the DJ Durkin comments, I didn't really know what to make of that. I kind of understand what Hugh Freeze is saying and coming from right there, right? So, I mean, Durkin could throw a loaded box at Jackson every play in practice and eat him up, right? Could just derail his confidence. You don't really want your quarterback walking off the practice field saying, man, I suck. I can't even do this against our own defense in practice. So I get it. I think
you just can't let it get out that you're doing it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. The thing with Hugh Freeze, the first 2 or 3 years he's been here, first 2 years and 3 games, whatever, has been that this man does not hold back what his thoughts are in the media, right? He doesn't hold back. And people are like, why did you say that? You just didn't have to say it. You really didn't.
Right. There can be like hey, we like that you speak your mind, like that's refreshing, but also like don't let it get back to your quarterback that you're dumbing down the defense in order to make sure that he's not losing confidence on the field. Like there's knowing when to speak your mind. Like we deal with it with Gundy around here, right? Like Gundy's famous for speaking his mind. That's if he keeps losing, that's all he's going to be famous for after a while. But it's like at a certain point, you're like, dude, just you don't need to. So I mean, there were we'll call them rumors about Michael Hawkins Jr., who you guys played against last year, had to be moved to a different position group while Jackson was on the team during camp to protect Jackson's confidence because Hawkins was outperforming him at the time. So hearing that again, with and not again necessarily that there's another quarterback. It's not that we're hearing that Deuce Knight's, outperforming or anything. But at the same time, like hearing that it's like, all right, we got to protect this guy's confidence. I was like, this is the second program where I've had to hear that. So I'm like, all right, what's going on here? So I don't know. It was interesting, those comments.
Look, I think with as a member of the media, I love that Hugh Freeze is open and transparent about things. It makes our job a lot easier, right? Now I didn't actually have to cover Brian Harsin when he was there, but I've heard many things about Harsin and how he, wasn't very easy to work with. So Hugh Freeze makes your job a lot easier as a reporter for sure. But
he was easy to work with some, from what I hear. Brian Harsin worked really well with one of the staffers, but I digress.
But I mean, I think there's a lot of things too that Hugh Freeze says that kind of get taken out of proportion. Last year he's asked after a game, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I mean, don't have a quarterback who can throw the ball to my receiver." How else do you want him to put it? Media or social media takes it, runs with it, and says he's throwing his players under the bus, all this, blah blah blah. I didn't take it that way. I thought he told the truth. But again, a lot of this stuff was just off season. Got to have something to talk about, and I'm certainly glad that we actually have real football to talk about now.
Yeah. One thing I did want to point out is personally, and Travis and I think are on the same page with this. We were, I'm sure Travis, you guys have talked about this. Travis and I are the resident kind of sunshine pumpers of the Oklahoma community for whatever reason. We've been dubbed that. And so last year, like early on, we were like very in Jackson Arnold camp. Honestly, where a lot of Auburn fans are at the moment. It was when the Tennessee game happened that it was so bad, Logan, we had no choice but to say, hey, something has to change, right? Never at any point, I don't think if either of us thought Jackson's no longer talented. Jackson can't throw the football. To me, that's stupid. And I feel like there's a lot of Oklahoma fans that are so concerned or so focused on what they saw last year that they think he can't be any better. And he has a better offensive line than he had last year. He has more receivers than he had last year because all of ours were, on IR. For really, they all were all six, but he didn't have that luxury. And so he didn't get to develop. We didn't get to see that side, maybe the freedom that we saw in that Arizona game. Even though he threw 2 picks, you were excited because you're like, man, he's ripping that thing. You're starting to see some of that maybe come back. I personally think he still looks a little skittish in the pocket at times, especially under pressure. But I think if he has time, he's proven that he can make some throws. I was watching some of the South Alabama tape, and he made some good throws over the middle. Some of them were anticipation. Some of them were, maybe theoretically a little late in South Alabama. It don't matter. And the zones were open. But last year, he wouldn't have thrown the football. Mm-hmm. And we got upset at him for that many a times last year because he didn't throw it. But I have a question to speak to a little bit of that, what you've seen from Jackson this year that has made you excited. And do you see anything that makes you nervous about Saturday with him?
Yeah. I looked at some of the PFF numbers today, and I don't have them pulled up anymore. I should have pulled them up before. But right to your point, sitting in the pocket, Jackson Arnold's looked great. Now, a lot of the there hasn't been a lot of drop back passing concepts that you've seen out of Auburn this far. A lot of these are quick hitters, RPO. He's making a decision, getting it out, and it looks good. Against South Alabama, there were some drop back, settings, and the offensive line struggled, and he struggled. But back to your point, I think obviously Brent Venables is going to bring pressure against Jackson Arnold. First off, Brent Venables knows Jackson Arnold like the back of his hand, right? He knows what his tendencies are, he knows what his strengths are, and all those things. So he's going to make life uncomfortable for Jackson Arnold, which goes back to our point earlier. I would love to have seen Jackson Arnold kind of air it out a little bit more and kind of work on that drop back passing game. But I just wrote a story about Jackson the other day, and like you said, man, I think you can't really look at these first 3 games and not be high or skittish on Jackson. Bullish, sorry. He was obviously the SEC Co-Player of the Week. He ran for 137 yards. We all know he's pretty dynamic with his legs. He was the first quarterback since Cam Newton to rush for 100 yards and pass for 100 yards in their debut, and he was the most. It's 137 yards rushing, or the most by an Auburn quarterback since Nick Marshall ran for 214 yards at Tennessee in 2013. So, I mean, he's looked really comfortable in the first 3 games. Again, he has not seen a defense of this caliber yet. You look at, Hugh Freeze comments throughout the week about this Oklahoma defense. I saw somewhere on X today where he said, I'm paraphrasing here, but when I watch the film, I need some Tums. I need some Pepto because it just makes me sick. Yeah, all right. He said this is one of the better defenses he's seen in the last few years.
Yeah, that was on the Ref, our radio station, the Home of Missouri Fans. He was on with Dari Noka this morning.
Yeah, sweet. So I mean, I saw that, and he obviously, Oklahoma's defense was giving up 1 touchdown. Right, they've given up 19 points, 13 which came against Michigan.
It's bust, and three of those field goals are just interceptions glancing off the hands of wide receivers, and they just happen to be in field goal range. So it's like, golly, like just let those balls need to hit the ground. You had bad luck; they're just going right to defenders. But yeah, defense has been really good this year.
In a nutshell, defense has been really good. And Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold hadn't seen a defense that's this good. I wouldn't even think that. I might even put South Alabama's defense over Baylor's. They're horrible.
Yeah, Aranda. I don't know what happened to Aranda. Like it was very much like the whole I'm a robot type vibe, no emotion, this, that, and the other. Like it was cool when he was like winning a ton of games at Baylor, when his defense was impenetrable, and now it's like your defense isn't. You're Dave Aranda. How is your defense not any good?
Yeah.
But still people are like, oh man, Dave Aranda, defensive genius, this, that, and the other. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, so anyways, it will be interesting. You're talking about South Alabama defense being better than Baylor. Obviously, Oklahoma is going to be the best defense you faced to this point, maybe face the rest of the year. I don't know. There are some other defenses that are typically good that aren't that great this year, but I think it'll be interesting because a couple people have made this point. I forget who made it first. Maybe Crane. I don't know, but they were talking about like if you've ever been in a car wreck before, like, and you drive like a bad car wreck, and you drive by that spot again, like you remember it, like you think about it. Like Jackson Arnold was in a bad car wreck last year for 12 games. Like he was in a bad situation. And of course the situation itself was bad. Offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, wide receivers, offensive line, running back, like you couldn't trust anything. Like, so that being said, he's in a better situation now for sure. But what's it going to be like when he gets back on that field and you kind of drive by the place where you had that bad car wreck and you start thinking about it, and then Brent Venables knows you better than anybody and can kind of heat you up. It'll certainly be interesting to watch. I think that Baylor. I think that Auburn is going to try and run the hell out of the ball. I think that Oklahoma's defense, if there's availability to get after it, might be big plays on the back end with, guys like Cam and Singleton. Like those are very talented wide receivers. We obviously saw Cam have success against us last year, but like I just think that Hugh might say, "Hey, look, Jackson, we're going to try and take as much off of you as we can. We're going to let you run the ball. We're going to give you easy reads, things like that." I don't know. How do you think Hugh is going to attack this Oklahoma defense?
Yeah, look, I think Auburn has to have a run game. Where on the flip side, you're kind of looking at Oklahoma, and you're like, okay, we've got John Mateer, we've got Dean Burks, sorry, Kinnick. We got all these weapons outside. John Mateer can be the guy. We can put the load on his shoulders, and he can come win us a football game, right? I think out of all the phases of your offensive game so far, the running game has probably been what's lacked the most. Not to say it's been bad. It's just been what's been lacking the most. And I think that you can win a game with John Mateer. On the flip side, you don't want to walk into Norman, Oklahoma, first time ever, by the way, in Auburn program history. You don't want to march into Norman, Oklahoma in front of a rowdy crowd, back to where you had that car wreck, and say, "Hey, Jackson, go win us this football game." That's not what you want. So you've got to establish the run game early. Now, good news for Auburn is Damari Austin looks like he's going to give it a go. Jeremiah Cobb has been great at an expanded role for Auburn this season. He's looked really good. He runs really tough despite kind of his size. His pad level is great, which kind of helps him, kind of elude some would-be tacklers and shed some would-be tacklers. But yeah, I think you've got to have a conversation with your front five and those guys in the backfield and say, hey, you're going to have to go make us some plays so that we can spread this thing out and get the ball to our guys, Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, Malcolm Simmons. So I think that's going to be where Auburn kind of tries to exploit the Oklahoma defense the most. Obviously, Oklahoma's got the number one SEC pass defense in the SEC. I think a second in the country. I wrote down some notes earlier in the week about Auburn's ground game. Like I said earlier, they're 16th in the nation, third in the SEC with 242 yards per game on the ground. Oklahoma, like we said, defensively, I guess their weakness so far has been on the ground.
Well, it's tough because 26% of the yards we've given up all year was on one busted play to Michigan.
Yeah,
so it's like it's like those plays still count. Don't get me wrong. Like big plays count. I get it, but it's Michigan couldn't just load up and run against us all game. Like it just wasn't an issue. So that's why I hate that bust. It's the same thing. It's like, golly, just that one play, but it is what it is. You get out of line and you have to pay for it against a guy like Justice Haynes.
Right. I mean, so again, I was watching, I can't remember what show I was watching, but there was a Oklahoma Auburn talk, and they were talking about how Michigan does not have the guys that Auburn has out wide. Simply does not. 1 through 4, Auburn's top, receivers are better than probably anything Michigan has. So that's something that I think that, again, when you establish that run game, kind of like you did against Baylor, which they didn't pass the ball against Baylor, but if you do kind of get that same kind of mojo going here on Saturday, first drive, kind of run it up, shove it down Oklahoma's throat. Now what are we going to do? So again, like I'm just going to reiterate the same point I said earlier. I really wish that we would have seen this Auburn passing offense kind of work on some things throughout these first 3 games, because I really don't want to see the first time that Jackson's facing pressure every single down to be in the SEC opener against his former team, against a defense the caliber of Oklahoma's.
That's why I don't want to say dumb, because that's a harsh word, but like when I was talking to some Auburn fans today, I just, like you said, literally, I don't know the benefit of opening up your offense passing wise against what many believe to be a top 5 defense in the nation and potentially the top defense in the SEC. Like that to me just seems like a recipe for disaster because you haven't built up the reps. You haven't built up the opportunities in games. Sure, have you done it in scrimmages? Yes, all the time. Great. But it's not the same. And when you're going against Brent Venables, who is known not only for like obviously freshman quarterbacks because they have a harder time, right? And they're skittish in the pocket, but a guy he already knows, a guy who was skittish in the pocket last year and already this year, just statistically, right? Not coming at him, but statistically has been bad against the blitz. I don't think that's when you want to say, oh yeah, Jackson Arnold's going to rip it for 300 yards. Like, and if he does, man, like that's a great sign for you guys. Cause I think that speaks more to maybe who Auburn can be as a team this year. Maybe if that comes in and happens, you guys beat us at home and Jackson plays like that, then you start to talk about Auburn as a, potential, SEC, maybe fringe playoff contender, in my opinion, if that's what he comes in and does. But I just don't believe that's going to be what happens in the passing game. You guys, like you said, are going to have to really establish the run game and get that going. And that's the one thing I think you may be able to do in spurts, but can you do it consistently over the course of the game? I think that'll be the tell of the game.
Yeah. I think another thing that I've been impressed with, and Hugh Freeze is saying, he was asked this on Saturday after the game against South Alabama. He said, how impressed are you so far with Jackson Arnold? I've been super impressed. He said, hadn't turned the ball over once. Last season, Auburn was dead last in the SEC in turnover margin. Turnovers lost Auburn a game against Oklahoma. Turnovers lost Auburn a game against Cal. Turnovers lost Auburn a game against Arkansas. They were, Auburn's first half of the season was just derailed by turnovers. That's something this Auburn team has not done so far. And Jackson Arnold, again, you guys kind of touched on this a minute ago. And Hugh Freeze said this throughout the preseason. He's like, hey, I wish he'd be a little bit quicker with the decision making, but it's because he doesn't take as many risks as he probably should.
Last year, a lot of turnovers probably has him a bit more careful.
Right. So there's some guys he might be missing downfield over the middle that I just hate. And he's made a play with in most of the scenarios where he has not thrown the ball, which is great. But maybe, hey, let's rip this thing out there a little bit. Let's kind of open things up a little bit. But again, I don't think you can complain with 0 turnovers out of your quarterback based on where you were in this point of the season last year.
Yeah, I think when you go like a yard per play perspective, you guys were like a top 10 team. It was like
it didn't make any sense.
It's like you guys had a losing record, but you guys were like top 10 like yard per play offensively and defensively or something like that. Like it was some crazy stat I saw like in week 9. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, thank God Peyton Thorne's here.
Look, I want to let me read this off to you real quick.
Okay.
So, let me find it real quick. Auburn has reached the red zone 9 times this year. I tweeted about this the other day. 9 times, and they've scored 9 times. That's tying them for first in the nation in red zone efficiency this year when they were 123rd last year in red zone efficiency. Could not put the ball in the end zone a year ago.
How many of those 9 are rushes? I imagine you guys are running in the ball on almost 100% of those.
Yeah, there was, 3 are field goals. This is off the top of my head, and I want to say 4 or 5 were rushes.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. Oh, wrong one again. I'm sorry.
No, take your time. We're not live.
Okay, Auburn first. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Sorry. First down, right? First down is going to be big in this one. I think Auburn has averaged 7.2 yards per play on first down through these 3 games, which means they've, it's kind of helped them convert on 18 of their 34 attempts on third down for a mark of 52.3%. Auburn is also one of just 4 FBS teams to convert on all 4 of its fourth down attempts. With that, if those teams have at least 5 attempts, which is first in the nation. Oklahoma's defense, on the other hand, has given up just 7 third down conversions on 41 attempts.
Yeah.
There has been 1 fourth down attempt, and that team, I don't know who it came against, but they failed. That's going to be another big storyline for me in this game. Can Auburn win on first down?
Right.
Are you going to average the 7 yards per play on first down, which keeps you in third and manageable, keeps you in third and short? Because if you do get in those third and long situations, second and long situations, I don't like that recipe for Auburn. That's not
obvious passing downs is not the recipe for Auburn. When you look at Oklahoma, just SEC ranks, they're first in total defense, first in scoring defense, first in first downs allowed, first in third down defense, and first in fourth down defense. They're no worse than fifth in any of those nationally. So yeah, it'll be. I mean, I can't wait for this one. I'm excited about it. I want to ask you about Hugh Freeze. I know we've talked a lot about him. 0 to 10, what was before the season? How hot was his seat? 10 being he's unless he has a great year, he's fired. 0 being doesn't matter what kind of year he is, he's coming back. Before the season, what was it?
Listen, I don't think there was I'll go off of my opinion. I'll go off of what I think was really going to happen. I don't think there was a set number from John Cohen saying, "Hey, you got to get to this number, or you're out of here."
Mm-hmm.
So people throwing out numbers like that, I don't think anybody truly knows. However, my opinion, it was hot. If he, anything less than, and I still think we're only 3 games into the season. Think about 2 years ago when Auburn also started 3-0 under Freeze, right? So, I think Auburn's got to find a way to get to 8. I think however it comes, you find a way to get to 8. Now, if you are 7, you have just 7. Then you got to look at the losses. Okay, do you have another 2023 Iron Bowl loss where if you just catch a ball on a punt, you win? Do you have another 2-minute drive by Georgia in your own house where all you got to do is stop them for 1 set of downs and you win? Right? How are those losses looking? At 7, I think you're okay. 6, I think he's gone. Okay, I don't want. That's just my opinion. I don't.
Right. Hey, we are fans of a guy who started the year on a hot seat as well. So
I don't know. That's certainly nothing that I know for certain. But I do think that Hugh Freeze and the Auburn fan base and everybody involved kind of wants to see him get to at least 8.
Yeah, I think people in the preseason were describing this as a tarmac game, right? Losers fired on the tarmac.
Right.
Luckily it's in Oklahoma, so Brent will not be making a trip to the tarmac until South Carolina, I guess. They'll bust down to Dallas. But yeah, it's interesting because a 3-0 start, you talk to people and they're like, "Oh, Hugh's safe." I'm like, with a Baylor win? Like, it's all it took was just a Baylor win and a guy on a hot seat is safe? That's interesting. But, obviously a lot of Oklahoma fans are saying the same thing about Michigan. It's like, oh, Brent, man, he's got this team rocking and rolling, all this, that, and the other. It's like, you still got work to do. You go out and lose this game to Auburn, to your former quarterback that you ushered out the door, and all of a sudden you might have some issues. Because here's my problem is Brent has got to avoid this particular stigma. The optics are that you forced Dylan Gabriel out to usher in the Arnold era. Then that fell flat on its face. So you forced Jackson Arnold out to usher in the John Mateer era. If Arnold wins the game or outshines even in a win the John Mateer, Brent's going to have to wear that as the guy that did it twice.
Yeah.
That pushed out the better quarterback twice. You know what I mean? So that's why I think Brent is going to, not to say he doesn't throw the kitchen sink at every quarterback, right? But I feel like he feels he needs to call the best game of his career this weekend in Norman against Jackson Arnold. Like, he cannot afford the stigma. He cannot afford the loss, but he cannot afford the loss, this particular loss to this particular quarterback, to another coach that's on the hot seat, just like he is.
Yeah. I mean, you go back to kind of what you just said. It's a 3-0 start. Again, that's already happened once under Freeze. But
yeah, again, it's happened every year under Brent.
Right. And so you look at Here's the thing. You look at the first 3 games, and again, you got to take it with a grain of salt because you played probably the worst team in all of college football in Ball State, right? And then you played a so-so Baylor team in South Alabama. But the thing is like I said, this team has looked different than Hugh Freeze-led teams of the past just through 3 games. Now, I'm not saying that Auburn's on their way to playoff contention just because they're just based off 3 games. But again, the turnovers have been – he's cleaned up the turnovers. Red zone efficiencies looked great on offense. Him and the quarterback, they're on the same page. No more 4th down and 1 coming out of the 3rd quarter timeout with him and Peyton Thorne, and you somehow that was the most ridiculous thing. I know you guys probably weren't tuned into this game, but 3rd quarter ends. We're heading into the 4th quarter down in Athens. Auburn's got a chance to make this a 1-score game against Georgia. 4th and 1, coming out of a break, and him and Peyton Thorne are just not on the same page. 2 completely different play calls are ran. And after the game, they're both asked about it. One says one thing, one says the other. But there's been none of that this year.
Oh, no.
There's been none of that this year. So, again, there's just been a different vibe around this team so far through the 3 games, and I would love to kind of see I would love to see that progress and continue on.
Adding more play callers was the key.
That's exactly what it was.
You got to get more. If 2 people can get on the same page, bring everybody in. Everybody's calling a play.
Yeah, they don't have a 4th down play caller apparently though. I don't know who's calling.
Can you describe that? They have a 1st down play caller, a 2nd down play caller, and a 3rd down play caller, right?
Well, listen, I think Hugh Freeze put it this way, and again, I'm going to paraphrase. Every offensive staff in the country works on a game plan together.
Right, design. Right.
Design. Every offensive staff designs the game plan. Derek Nix might see something from the box on 1st downs. Hey, I've got the hot hand here. I'm going to go with this. Same thing on 3rd down with Ken Austin. But every play call is ran through Hugh Freeze, and he has the ability to veto or let it go. So essentially, final say-so goes through Hugh Freeze. He knows what play is being ran on the field. If he does not like it, he can call what he wants. He's just got input from other guys, and I think that's kind of the same thing with every offensive staff in the country.
But again, only one says it out loud.
Which is Hugh Freeze.
Which is Hugh Freeze. That's funny. JP, you got some video we want to go over?
Sure. You let me know what you want to see, and I'll put it up here, man.
So I don't know how much do you watch much of the Temple game, Logan?
Did not.
Well, we're going to show you a talented freshman running back who you've probably heard of, Jaden Ott. You probably have not seen much of Jaden Ott because we have not seen much of Jaden Ott. He was the ballyhooed transfer that came in. Everybody thought he's going to be the bell cow, this, that, and the other. Well, we start hearing great things about Torrey Blaylock, the freshman out of camp. Xavier Robinson obviously finished the year well last year. You've got Javonte Barnes, who has been the starter, kind of a short yardage, can run through trash, but he's great in pass pro. I would imagine, not that we want him blocking Falk by himself, but I would imagine you see a lot of Barnes just to protect Mateer a little bit more against your guys' defensive ends who are elite. So I think you'll see a lot of Barnes. He's the one you can trust the most in protection. But Torrey Blaylock has been kind of the most exciting one. He's a true freshman. He's made some people forget, or at least some people not be as pissed off that Jaden Ott has not been as advertised. So, JP, you got a couple plays by him?
Yeah, I do. Here's the first one.
So he's got speed to the outside. He's a sprinter. Again, like we talk about, like he's very much, or we understand that this is Temple. Just like you understand it's Ball State, you understand it's South Alabama. Temple had won their first 2 games like 97-0 before they played us. But here's to the outside. Plenty of space to go, plenty of room to run. Mouth guard bouncing all over the place. But then
wrong one. That's
I was about to say, then we see him run outside again. Sorry, I blame the producer. You know how it goes, Logan.
Yep. I got it coming up. Give me a second.
Yeah, have you guys had many delay of game penalties this year, Logan?
Not very many.
Okay. Here he has no problem trucking a linebacker who's in good position. Oh, that was a safety. Never mind. Who's in good position to make the tackle near the one and just gets blown up. So we like the true freshman. We like him a lot. If you've got the 3rd and 19 with Canick, JP, you can throw that up.
Yep.
So this is Canick. Again, you can practice that. Canick. First name is Jaron, converted linebacker. He's out of Hays, Kansas. He ran a 10.37 in high school, which was the 6th fastest time in state history. He played both sides, but was dominant in offense in Hays, Kansas. He is now our tight end, and after playing linebacker for 3 years, he knows how to sit in soft zones. So this is a 3rd and 19 play. Mateer escapes. Canick's able to get upfield on the edge of field goal range. This is our first drive of the game. And again, pressure, gets hit in the back, takes it upfield. Mateer is often getting hit or escaping from pressure at the time. The boy's just got to. He's built like a tank. So quarterback wise, him and Jackson kind of have some similar body types. They're both kind of bigger guys that can take. Obviously, Jackson's taller, I believe, but Mateer can take the hits. Now we've got Boganowski and Reggie Powers, a couple of young guys came in together. They're both second-year guys. They have been problematic for hurting people in practice occasionally because they hit people like that. And that was Reggie Powers in his first career sack. And then
That was
Boganowski. Say what?
That was Boganowski.
Oh, Boganowski. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Powers is going the other way. I forgot. Boganowski is earning the name Boga Now Sleep because he keeps on. It actually became a problem his freshman year. He was in practice. He knocked a couple people out in the spring game last year. He actually injured one of our players in that too. So we got to make sure that he's hitting the other team most importantly. But yeah, that was Boganowski. And then Reggie Powers, they actually got set up pretty nicely. They were 3rd and 1, approaching field goal territory. And look at that. Reggie Powers is so fast, blink and he's there. So again, these are the looks I expect them to hit Arnold with. Guys blitzing off the backside. Those are 2 safeties right there. Going to bring a lot of pressure, delayed pressure, whatever, and try and light Jackson up early to remind him of where the car wreck happened. So, again, big asterisk because this is Temple. It's the Temple Owls. But, just a couple looks at what OU fans are excited about because these are a couple young guys, a couple second-year players. With Jaden Jackson, the second-year player, the big boy freshman All-American right up there in the middle. So as we wind down, let's get a score prediction out of you. Have you published a score prediction yet?
I have not yet, but I will.
So are we breaking news right now?
We're breaking news right here.
Wow.
I thought about it.
So give us a bit of the game script. This was, of course, Mateer got to I think like 20.4 miles an hour on this run. So he's got some wheels for a quarterback. This was obviously, 66 has nobody to block. That's about as lucky as you can draw it up. Even the cameraman at first got fooled and went with Deion Burks. So give me your kind of game script and see how you think it's going down, and justify your score prediction based off that.
Yeah, look, I've kind of gone back and forth. I've a lot of different opinions on this one, but I'm ultimately going to go 31-24 Oklahoma. I do not look. Like I said, this has been a much improved Auburn team throughout the first 3 weeks of the season, right? But based on what I have seen from Auburn in the past 4 years, I cannot pick Auburn to go into Norman, Oklahoma for the first time ever in front of a rowdy crowd and pick up a road win. Now, that is not to say that I don't think that Auburn can do it, because I do think they can win this game. Again, I think that this is a big test for Auburn. I think this is obviously the biggest test for Auburn. You just kind of showed some of those clips right there, some of the pressure that's going to be thrown at Jackson Arnold. That's another reason as to why I think, hey, let's get this run game going. Let's get some quick hitters. I know that's what we've seen, and we want to see the downfield passing game kind of progress. But let's get something to make Jackson Arnold quick. Let's not give him any time to sit in the pocket and get smashed right off bat, and like you said, derail his confidence. But no, I think Oklahoma's probably got a couple of bigger, got more weapons on the defensive side of the ball. I think they've got more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. Auburn's defense has obviously been a big, huge question mark. Now, had Auburn's defensive secondary kind of looked a little bit better throughout the first 3 weeks of the game, I might pick Auburn to win this game. However, with a bunch of questionable injuries there on the back end, Auburn is obviously getting Champ Anthony back and guys like that. But I still think Burks and Kannick are going to be too much for Auburn to kind of handle over the middle. Yeah, I'm going to go 31-24 Oklahoma in this one. I also want to say and end it with this. This will not derail Auburn's season. Okay, it won't derail Oklahoma's season. There's a bunch of football left to be played for both teams, right? While this game is huge for both fan bases, based on where both programs were to end the season last year, both 3-0 to start this off, top 25 matchup. There's a lot of excitement surrounding this one, but this is essentially just another week. Okay, there is a lot of football left to be played, and I think that if Auburn can get through this 3-game stretch with Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Georgia end it, if they can get out of there with a win, I think Auburn's got a really good chance of putting up 8 or 9 wins. I just don't think that one of them comes this weekend.
Go ahead,
Trash.
JP.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I do think that it'll be a lot to ask Jackson Arnold to come in here and perform differently if you guys, are able to establish, running game on the ground. And as much as I think Auburn has improved, as you said, I see it as a similar game to Michigan. Obviously, Michigan has a whole different offense than Auburn, but it's certainly predicated on the run. And beyond that 75-yard, explosion, we didn't give up much to them. And so while I know you guys are formidable, and I'm sure you'll have your plays, I don't see us folding completely in the run game. And with that, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Jackson. And I think, if he has to be in a lot of passing situations, hopefully we see a turnover from the Oklahoma defense, which we haven't yet, which is crazy. But I think with that happening, I think that Oklahoma wins. I'll say 27-14. That's my score prediction, 27-14.
All right. First off, got to shout out our boys. Horns down apple pie, horns down fine spirits. They just announced a merger with their distillery that distributes them and makes their product. So they're going to be coming out with a whole new line of products. Big news, because every dollar spent with them, a portion directly or indirectly goes to Oklahoma athletics. So, Logan, I know you haven't, learned to hate Texas as much as we have over the years, but I promise you it's coming. I promise you, you're going to hate Texas just like the rest of us. So make sure Tito's gives money to the University of Texas. So just dump all that out, get yourself some Horns Down vodka, and support the University of Oklahoma instead. So, anyways, prediction-wise, here's the thing. In the last 3 games that Oklahoma has played in Norman, they've given up 1 touchdown. 2 of those opponents were Michigan and Alabama. I don't see Jackson coming in. He's got a wildly talented wide receiver core. He's got good, especially interior of the offensive line. You've got one of the best guards in the SEC, and low-key one of the best centers probably too. But I just don't know if that's going to be enough against Oklahoma's D-line. I think that Auburn scores a touchdown and is not able to punch it in 2 other times, settling for field goals. That gets them to 13 points, similarly or exactly the same as what Michigan scored. I think that the defensive backfield will not hold up against Mateer. I think this is 31-13, which with a 6.5-point spread seems like a lot. But I don't think Oklahoma played well at all against Michigan. I think they played maybe a B- game, obviously fumbled, muffed the punt, muffed a kickoff, which gave us terrible field position, roughed the kicker deep in Michigan territory to ignite one of their drives, and gave up the 1 run play. So I think this is similar, that they're able to move the ball between the 20s a couple times, get the field goals, 1 explosive play. I think Cam Coleman's just going to come down with 1 in the end zone because that's the type of guy he is. But I think that makes up for the scoring for the most part. I think Oklahoma gets to 31 because I think Kanik, Deion Burks have big days. Mateer has a big day on the ground and in the air. So 31-13 for me. And thank God, JP, look at this. We got a real live journalist on here. Pick the game honestly. Man, we get all these people that come on here. Man, my team's going to win 45-0, you bums. And this guy, Logan Fowler. Y'all make sure and give him a follow. He does good work over there. Real journalism, Big J journalism, as Uncle Colin would say. So, anyways, any final words, Logan? Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, man, appreciate the shout out. You can find my written work with the War Report over at thewarreport.com. You can also find my written work with 1819 News. And you can go check me out on X or Twitter at Logan F. Fowler, the little handle down here underneath my name. Appreciate you guys having me on. It was a blast. Get to talk a little Oklahoma and Auburn football, and I'm excited to see what comes about on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. And I have 2 things real quick. One, the Travis in the chat was incredibly kind to you, as you rightly, as Trav mentioned, went with your heart, right, and your gut. Well, your gut really more than probably your heart, and chose Oklahoma, which I commend you on. Yet, when one of the hosts of the show does the same thing for Texas, a year ago, I'm crazy. Apparently.
Bro, you're not a journalist.
I'm insane.
You're not a journalist.
A rational prediction, and Logan, as he should have, made a rational claim, and we don't say nothing.
Didn't you pick Texas the year we beat Texas?
No.
Oh, okay. He stays picking Texas. Here's the thing, Logan. This guy, all he does is pick Texas and go to apple orchards. That's all he does. It's terrible, man. It's terrible. I try and host a podcast with him. It's preposterous. So, Logan, Big J journalist, JP, small F fan.
The second thing I was going to say is, as much as I appreciate your sentiment that it is just one game, and that does make sense, I'm telling you, Logan, bro, like, if we lose to you guys, and especially if we lose to you guys and Jackson plays well, all hell will break loose in Norman. It will not be a good week. Can we still figure out the rest of the season? Absolutely. But all hell will break loose, Logan. Like it will be bad. We've seen the Doomers, bro. It will be preposterous.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. When I did say that a moment ago, after I said it, I said, well, I mean, it is another week in the grand scheme of things, but it does sort of have a little bit of extra juice behind this one. But yeah, no, man. I mean, look, I try to be as real as I can. I stay away from the fandom side of things in my line of work. So again, kind of like you said, JP, you hadn't noticed a bunch of the Auburn Oklahoma Twitter war that was going on until today. So no, that's going to be fun to monitor over the next couple of days, and especially on Saturday after the game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a lot of receipts pulled either way. But nah, man, thanks you so much for coming on here, bro. You were great, and thanks for your insight. And like Chap said, you're a legit journalist, bro. We appreciate your insight into the Tigers, and hopefully it's a good game. And that obviously we want Oklahoma to come on top, but I know Trav will tell you welcome back anytime, man.
Yeah,
man. Thank you.
Come back anytime. I hope that you're absolutely correct in your prediction.
Same.
I'm just trying to be kind to our guests.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. I appreciate the kind words. I hope that I hope you guys have fun watching the game if my prediction does come out true.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, I will talk to you on Saturday. How about that?
How about that? Let's appreciate you guys having me on again, man.
All right. See you, brother.
See ya.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Boomer.